The topic which we are going to study today is iron deficiency. Deficiency means when something is very low. So, before understanding iron deficiency, we will study about iron absorption. As we know that iron is toxic. The body has no physiological mechanism for upregulating iron excretion. No mechanism for upregulation. So its absorption from the gut is tightly controlled. This permits iron absorption to be maximized when stores are low or when there is a need to increase erythropoiesis, but minimizes the risk of excess iron absorption when stores are already adequate. So its absorption is tightly controlled, and the reason is that we don't need it much, and if it's less, then a lot of it is stored in the gut. From the gut, it is absorbed, not stored in gut. The normal Western diet contains 10 to 20 milligram of iron per day, of which typically 5 to 10% is absorbed in the body. Normally, iron in the duodenum is reduced to its ferrous form. Iron in duodenum. Duodenum is the part in the small intestine. So, iron in duodenum is changed to Fe2 plus ferrous form by there is a protein duodenal cytochrome B. So iron in duodenum is changed to Fe2 plus by duodenal cytochrome B before binding the Fe2 plus ion to its first transporter DMT1. Its first transporter DMT1 on the luminal membrane of the duodenal enterocyte. Enterocyte's membrane. It is present on enterocyte membrane. Iron thus taken up into the cell is either stored directly as ferritin. Now it is stored directly as ferritin, or it is oxidized to the ferric form by transmembrane protein hepestin. Oxidized oxidized to Fe3 plus from a protein which is transmembrane hepestin. This is a transmembrane protein. and then it is transported to the plasma via molecule ferroportin. So from the duodenum, it passes into the plasma via ferroportin. Ferroportin to plasma. Iron in the plasma is bound to the transport protein transferrin. Now, in plasma, iron is not in free state. In plasma, iron is not free. It is bound to transferrin, which delivers iron to the bone marrow for erythropoiesis. So its last stop is bone marrow, where everyone should know erythropoiesis takes place. At the end of their lifespan, red blood cells are removed from the circulation by reticuloendothelial macrophages and have their heme part recycled. The iron is released from the heme ring and bound to transferrin to be re-delivered to the bone marrow or stored as ferritin. So there is no wastage of any part of the red blood cell. What happens is the iron in the red cell is broken from the heme part and re-delivered to the bone marrow or stored as ferritin. So iron is stored as ferritin in hepatic cells or Kupffer cells, as ferritin in Kupffer cells. Now there are several checkpoints which operate during this process. The uptake of iron into the duodenal enterocyte may be affected by the local oxygen tension, which is mediated by the effect of the transcription factor hypoxia inducible factor on the expression of DMT1. The production of DMT1 is also influenced directly by iron. Iron affects the binding of iron response proteins to iron response elements in the 5' untranslated region of the mRNA for this gene, determining the rate of its translation. So, checkpoints, that means there are points where this iron uptake can be regulated. The first effect is because of local oxygen tension, and this part is mediated by HIF, the hypoxia inducible factor, on the expression of DMT1. This DMT1 is also influenced by iron present. Now this iron affects the binding of iron response protein to iron response elements in the mRNA. So it can directly stop the process of translation by binding to mRNA. Binding to the iron response elements which is present in the mRNA through iron response proteins. Once iron is inside the enterocyte, its transfer to the circulation is controlled by the hormone hepcidin. Now this is another checkpoint where this hormone plays a role. Its name is hepcidin. It's an hormone. This protein produced by the liver. It is produced by liver. Binds to ferroportin and induces its internalization. This prevents the efflux of iron from the enterocyte such that it will be lost when the cell is discoamated into the lumen of the gut. Hepcidin therefore provides a key mechanism for determining how much iron is absorbed from the gut. Hepcidin expression is itself regulated directly by several mechanisms, which is relevant to the assessment of iron stores when carrying iron. Transferrin is involved in signaling pathway that enhances hepcidin expression. So this hepcidin hormone can be increased directly by transferrin. HIF is able to contribute to a decrease in hepcidin expression. In these two circumstances, a reduction in hepcidin will result in increased iron absorption. In short, although adults who have normal iron stores absorb approximately 5 to 10% of their total intake, this is subject to great variation in response to physiological demand. Hepcidin is the master regulator of this process. In the setting of iron loading, hepcidin expression is upregulated and iron absorption is limited. That means hepcidin expression is upstream, it takes the message upward, and iron absorption is limited by the concentration of hepcidin. Where there is a requirement of increased erythrocyte activity, hepcidin levels fall and more iron absorption is permitted. Clearly, there are situations in which these signals conflict with each other. For example, in thalassemians, when anemia and iron loading coexist, which we will see later, how iron control must be employed in thalassemians and people with anemia. So, next we have to talk about how does iron deficiency arise. So our next topic will be how does iron deficiency arise. What are the reasons? So it can arise in any of the following three settings. First, when your diet contains less iron. When there is malabsorption, that means your body is unable to absorb it properly. And third is increased loss of iron. So there can be malabsorption where obviously in the duodenum, just now we saw that duodenum is the part of the intestine from where the iron in the body is taken up by the body. And the last point is loss. This can happen due to hemorrhage. Huge blood is lost. If huge blood is lost, then iron deficiency can arise. So iron deficiency is not uncommon in infants who are given unsupplemented milk or who are exclusively breastfed. Similarly, the increased iron requirement of growing children and menstruating women can also put them at risk. Iron deficiency is common in pregnancy also. So iron is readily absorbed in its heme form, as non-heme iron may be bound by phytates and phosphates also found in food. Vegan diets containing principally non-heme iron may therefore also predispose to dietary iron deficiency. So there are many ways in which iron deficiencies can arise. There can be vegan diets where the food has non-heme components, so the absorption is not easy. Then we have in infants unsupplemented milk. Then gastric HCl is needed to reduce ferric to ferrous iron for efficient absorption. Therefore, partial or complete gastrectomy can cause iron deficiency. So gastric HCl can reduce due to gastrectomy. So lack of HCl in the body is called achlorhydria. It's ACHLORHYDIA. Hydria. HYDRIA. So certain antacid compounds have been described as having a similar effect, though long-term treatment with proton pump inhibitors such as omeprazole appears to be implicated in iron deficiency only very rarely. So We have iron deficiency because of achlorhydria, that is HCl is lacking in the gut, where gastric HCl is responsible for changing Fe3 plus to Fe3 plus to Fe2 plus. This process is inhibited when HCl is not present in the stomach. Duodenal pathology such as celiac diseases may also inhibit the absorption of iron from an adequate diet. However, blood loss remains the most frequent cause of iron deficiency. In women of childbearing age, menorrhagia must be considered. In postmenopausal women and in men, gastrointestinal bleeding is the most likely explanation and an unexplained finding of iron deficiency. So keep we can write the points together how iron deficiency is caused. Reduced iron stores at birth, inadequate intake, increased requirement while breastfeeding or pregnancy, chronic hemorrhage, it can be menorrhagia, peptic ulcer, ulceration, carcinoma in the stomach, or hookworm infestation, etc. Malabsorption in celiac diseases, partial gastrectomy or trophic gastritis, chronic intravascular hemolysis leading to hemoglobinuria and hemosideruria. So, hemolysis can lead to hemoglobinuria, hemoglobinuria, and hemosideruria. So, in this iron deficiency, these are the causes. Next, we will talk about manifestations of iron deficiency. That means, what are the symbols which we can find so that we can see how this disease or this deficiency can be localized in the body. Manifestation of iron deficiency. This will be part of the next lecture. In this video, we will talk about the manifestations of iron deficiency. Manifestations of iron deficiency. Although iron is found in every cell, example as part of cofactors for the enzymes of the respiratory chain, at any time the bulk of iron in a healthy individual is found in red cells. So we all know that iron's bulk is found in the red blood cells. So hematological manifestations are therefore among the first seen in iron deficiencies. So we have to look at the hematological manifestations. If iron deficiency is mild, there will simply be a depletion of iron stores in the reticuloendothelial system. So in the reticuloendothelial system, we will see that the iron concentration decreases. This may be entirely without clinical consequence. However, as the supply of iron to the tissues is hampered, the red cells will develop hypochromic microcytic features. So, if the deficiency continues, we will see hypochromic microcytic features. Now, as you can see from its name, hypo means less, chrome means color, micro means small, cyto means cell. So, as the deficiency progresses, the hemoglobin falls, giving a hypochromic microcytic anemia. Now, what this feature will do? It will lead to anemia. Other tissues are also affected in severe iron deficiency. There may be angular stomatitis, angular stomatitis, brittle and misshapen nails, brittle and misshapen. That means the shape will be bad, including the classic but rarely seen spoon shaped nails called koilonychia. And dysphagia in some cases associated with pharyngeal stricture or web. Dysphagia. It will be very easily understood if you can just type these words in Google and you will see the pictures of how these symptoms can be seen in human body as diseases. In some cases associated with a pharyngeal stricture or web, some patients also manifest bizarre dietary cravings known as pica. This you must have heard of, it is very famous. Pica, where people have a urge of eating mud. With earlier diagnosis, these textbook signs and symptoms are now much less frequently seen. The blood film will show characteristic features. In addition to the hypochromic microcytic red cells, there may be misshapen red cells, which are known as poikilocytes, including pencil cells and target cells. These can be seen. If you want, you can search. I will write it over here. Poikilocytes. Poikilocytes. See its microscopic slide. It will be clearly visible. The inability of the bone marrow to respond adequately will result in a reticulocyte count lower than expected for the degree of anemia. Now the reticulocyte count will also go down. How will we confirm a diagnosis of iron deficiency? While see the combination of microcytic hypochromic anemia with a likely history may strongly suggest that iron deficiency is there, but still many cases confirmation is required. The key laboratory parameters of iron status are the serum ferritin, transferrin and serum iron levels. Now we have to look at these three things specially, that is the serum ferritin. As you should already know that ferritin is the protein to which iron binds while traveling in the plasma. Transferrin is also